I can't finish this game. It marks almost everything I love about gaming. It comes from a dedicated indie studio, built over several years with love, care and passion. Developers who listened to their audience and kept working until they released version 1.0 in May of this year. A game set in a fantastical world with vampires, V Rising, a sort of vampire survival game with almost a sort of story to it, with leveling built into the core systems of the game, gear scores that determine your worth and overall strength, and seemingly 10 other ways to improve and get stronger. The world has lore. Hell, V Rising has boss fights that unlock new elements and new experiences. On paper, I should be infatuated with this game. In reality, I am, but I'm also not. And it's not the fault of anyone but myself and how I interact with games. You see, V Rising requires above all else time. It requires hours of playing, meticulously crafting a mansion or a castle or a base as we would know it, and improving on it. It requires dying again and again and again, and then it requires you to work tirelessly until you unlock each section. This is where I fail the game, but it also fails me. You see, V Rising is a slow game, and I struggle to play games that are slow, especially as I only ever seem to play games when I work on them. Either they are for my podcast, for the reviews, or for the streams. Otherwise, I spend my time doing something else. Now, I still love gaming. It is by far the longest running and most intense passion I still pursue. But every time I have tried playing V Rising, I find myself thinking, I would rather be playing something else. So is this really a game as amazing as everyone says it is? Does it secretly have very many things that are wrong with it? Or am I just unable to enjoy something good when I get it? Play the intro.
Waiting for your storm to settle as I look toward the sea. Dust in your eyes like the water, as the tide it consumes me. You would never save me if my walls came down. Head is underwater, you would let me drown. Watching as I suffocate. Darling, pull the trigger, honey, steal my crown. Choke me till I black out, put your hands around. Cut out my heart, I'm guilty. She said, worship me, I control the air you breathe. Worship me, my forgiveness sets you free. Worship me, I control the air you breathe. Worship me, my forgiveness sets you free.
Have you ever seen video of Diablo 2 and thought it looks too zoomed out? Because I'm pretty sure that is what happened with V Rising. Now, there is nothing wrong with this. In fact, this style of gameplay for action role-playing games has become a staple of the genre. Many gamers prefer to only play games in this specific style. Do I enjoy this? Yes. In fact, the graphical detail of the world of V Rising is one of the things that initially grabbed my attention. It also makes me feel clustered and unprepared when something comes off screen having seen me already. This happened to me on all 3 attempted playthroughs. It was shocking in all 3 attempted playthroughs as well. Fortunately, it was also funny when I yelped like a 5-year-old. Now, is this fair gameplay? Probably. I don't really know. In a world where enemies have been spawning into fights for decades, it seems perfectly okay to limit our view of what is on the screen. What is more fascinating about V-Rising's gameplay is just how much there is for you to track, unlock, place, equip, consider, and plan out. You see, you are a vampire in every meaning of the word. Legit, all we need is to sparkle when the sun hits us and every rendition of vampire will be realized. First, we learn about blood. We need it, we are obviously a vampire. Every living creature can be fed on and will increase the total amount of blood available to us. Blood of the creatures also lends some strength to us. You see, each creature has a certain amount of purity. I don't know. I've yet to play long enough to make the vernacular come to me unbidden. Wow, that sounded so pompous. Anyway, so if you feed on a wolf, you can get bonuses depending on how pure blood on that wolf is. So depending on who or what you are fighting, different bonuses can apply. Fight a human rogue that has pure blood and you get a significant boost to attack speed and other things. The same with brutes and I would assume certain types of bosses. You get the bonus inflicted idea. Next, we look at our gear. The first thing the game tells us about. Your gear decides your gear score. Your gear score decides both how much damage you take and how much damage you deal. Wear simple leather clothing and your vampire has barely 10 gear score. Start equipping stronger gear and your vampire's gear score increases rapidly. Stronger weapons, more skills, refined items, surprisingly your gear score can rapidly grow once you start on industry, which you will be doing as this is also a survivor game, but more on that in a bit. Last, we look at the skills themselves. Now these are called abilities in game, but they're skills. And you unlock them not by simply leveling, instead you must defeat the bosses in the game. Each boss grants a new ability, which means your selection of boss fight determines the skills you are preferring to use. Of course, at the start you sort of just run into the first few bosses and they kill you. These grant easy to use and understand abilities and buffs. This is a good system, and honestly, it is the first time a system like this does not feel tedious or unnecessary. Instead, I feel that combining abilities and boss fights to each other is a brilliant twist to what we all are already used to. Now, of course, we need to talk about the mansion in the room, because at its core, V-Rising is a survival game. You will be building your base or mansion throughout the game. Depending on your patience and willingness to decorate, you may love this or hate this. Me personally, I fall in between. The system for building a base in V-Rising is very easy and simple. Throw down a castle art, start clearing out trees, rocks, old structures, and soon you have a sort of mansion or castle forming. Now, this is not optional. If you had ideas of grandeur while watching others play the game, it's best to put them somewhere else. Everything you need to complete and be competitive in the game of V-Rising comes from your base. Stronger weapons, stronger armor, and certain bonuses are all crafted in or from your base. So you can't not do this. And from what I have seen, this is also where V-Rising loses many players. Understandably so, I would imagine, hi Cody, that the cross-section between people who want to be immortal vampires and the people that like building kick-ass home bases is not very large. But here we are. Most of you clicking through to this video have either watched a streamer play V-Rising or have played the game yourself. And I can't really say I am either. Because ultimately, there are things that have prevented me from playing more than a few hours on a game that I bought back when it was in very early access. So why is this? Before I move on, I know there are probably several gameplay aspects I neglected to mention, but saying that you would have to spend half your time farming rocks, wood, brass, copper, iron, jewels and everything else may not be worth mentioning. It is, after all, a modern survival action RPG. They all do that. Now let's take a look at the story. Okay, this won't be long. I have no idea what the story is beyond the following. Vampires went into hiding, they are reappearing and vying for superiority. Dracula is also there, they are vampire hunters. That is it. Let's go check what Wikipedia has to offer. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to read all of that. Well, not while recording a video anyway. So best I can tell, a bunch of stuff is going on, and we would have to play the game all the way through to understand it. But then again, none of it seems to be told overtly to us. Our vampire doesn't say a lot. They respond to things here or there, but there is no monologue of stuff being told. So the story is what has already happened or is happening elsewhere. But yeah, that's the story aspect of V Rising. Look, I am trying to play through this game when I have the time. At the same time, I wanted to release this video in this century, and you'll have to excuse me if I gloss over this one section. Do you know why Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 look similar in so many ways? It's because graphically they have the same colors, the same themes, and many similar effects. Yes, there is improvement, but not a lot has changed in the world of Sanctuary. This is something that immediately drew me to V Rising when I saw Ko Carnage play it all the way back when. The game does look amazing. Along with the sounds that these woods have, you are very quickly enveloped by the atmosphere of the game. The attacks all have unique animations. The general enemies are also varied, with creatures having unique attacks and animations, humans being different enough to tell apart. Even the skeletons look really good in this game. Each boss looks amazing as well. The few that I have seen were easy to identify as to what type of boss they are and how they would attack. The woods themselves that we have to clear to build our base or castle, mansion, whatever, is varied and does not feel too repetitive. Further, if you do manage to progress much further afield, you will find that much of V Rising has unique environments. Bosses start appearing in what are their own mansions or castles, and of course the woods don't just stay the woods. The dense woods that I know are the Farbane woods, but after that you get the Dunley Farms, the Hallowed Mountains, the Cursed Forest, the Silverlight Hills, and Gloomrot. Of course, right now I have no idea what any of these look like beyond the images I see online. They do look amazing graphically though, because like every part of the game, I assume the creator spent a lot of time and care on each area. This is not a map that is being auto-generated by some algorithm, nor is it one that was generated and then edited. I kinda hope. Beyond these comments, there is nothing more to say about the graphics. Unlike games I have played previously, V Rising is not doing something amazing with the graphics like Immortals of Avium, nor is it doing almost nothing amazing with graphics, like I would say Minecraft. Seriously, when will Microsoft use some of the graphic mods from that community? Anyway, not that either of those look bad, but V Rising doesn't do anything spectacular, but it also doesn't do anything bad. The graphics are good, and if you have a relatively modern system, it should run just fine. Hell, my system barely wakes up when running it at full tilt. But this does lead us to the last little bit of this monologue. What does it do badly? Circling back to our original question, why can't I finish this game? And at first I thought it was because there was something wrong with the game, or maybe even me. But as I played through, I did realize a few things, or at least as I tried to play through. First, this is not a game to be played alone. The times I played with a friend, I was having so much fun that I didn't notice anything wrong. In fact, I would have spent several hours playing if I had someone to consistently play with. The farming aspect combined with defending a base and fighting difficult bosses means that V Rising is a game that should be enjoyed with others. That is probably why the game does want to force your hand to play on a hosted or public server. So, we can't really fault anyone for this. After all, it is made quite clear that the game should be played as a group or at least a pairing. But what then happened when I did play alone? Or even when I tried to stream it, that has made me almost unwilling to continue. As of recording this, I have been streaming it a few times just to take breaks from larger AAA games. For me, it would have to be the same thing I complimented in the previous section. You see, or actually, just listen to this. Did you hear that? The creaking of the woods, the hoot of an owl, the step of the character. This game is atmospheric. Very few times there is some kind of background music. If there is, you're probably fighting something. And that is sort of the problem. V Rising wants you to do what you want, It only holds your hand for a short period of time, but it is also so painfully quiet that it can be hard to play if you are alone. And alone is what I am. So the game offers little to no entertainment beyond hit a tree, hit a rock, place a wall, repeat. Normally, in a game like this, you would switch on a streamer or YouTube video, whatever streaming service you use to fill in the gap. But then, what do? I am a streamer. I can't simply switch on anything and watch it while playing a game live on Twitch. So here I sat, trying to stream, but finding myself continually bored. And this is probably the only bad thing I can concretely say about V Rising. It is boring to play alone. The atmosphere is nothing but a side note after the first few minutes. The silence of the woods leaves you quiet and almost melancholic. Melancholic, whatever. Which, you know, for a vampire game is probably perfect. But also, for a guy living alone, trying to talk about it or even to get immersed in it, doesn't quite work. Now, I am in no way saying that any of this should be changed. What I am saying is, if you want to play this game without getting bored or just somehow feel a little bit sad, play it with a friend. Because otherwise you'll be alone in a world filled with monsters. If you have the time, the money, and a friend brave enough to wander through the night, then getting V Rising and playing until you defeat the final boss is certainly worth it. As I understand, once you do defeat the final bosses, there isn't much to do in the game. So you will have a sort of goalpost to take on. Just be aware that you will have to farm a lot and constantly. Like, you'll master the evils of life and death, but also you'll be swinging an axe in the woods most of the time. Will I ever finish V Rising? Probably not. I may make it up to the farmlands and build myself a nice little hovel. But then again, that's just me living out my millennial dreams. Home ownership in a nice location. Thanks for watching.